Welcome to Trading Lounge and the Australian Asian report, and starting with the ASX here on the hourly chart because it's the most interesting, because it's really sticking to that 6,100 there, isn't it? It's almost like a triangle pattern that's diminishing, or an end sound pattern that's diminishing into that particular number, and all we're looking for is the breakout here. The last time we spoke we were looking at somewhere in the top here, I think. We can look at that on the tick chart, and we were looking for an ABC correction to come back. What I don't know is I don't know if I should put wave 5 on top of here with wave 3 here, and we're looking at wave 4 here, so we'll see a larger correction here. Or do I see, will we see something like this here, with this as wave 1 here, wave 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 pushing up into this section here? So that I don't know. Okay, so we're really going, I'm just going to put it in the middle there because I don't have a confirmation on that. I don't know. What I do need to see, obviously, is we need to see a breakout to the upside to confirm that we can either put this over here, or we could even just put this into here like this here. So I'm not ready to sort of label that just yet. So pretty much it's pretty simple in terms of being long or being short here. The market will be right, and we need to bow down to the boss here, and which is the market, of course, and go with that. So look, a breach of the bottom support here, or the 6,100 as a retested resistance, then to the short side, and any move to the long side, to the upside there. This, I'll just go to the tick chart here because this is where we picked up last time. Last time we spoke, I think we were up here. We had the third and the fourth in, and we're looking for a fifth wave up here. It was a bit short, but there you go. So then we've had 5 waves down here, so I've got to call that the A wave, and then the B wave is a bit time consuming as an A and a B and a C wave here. You know, this is why it could be the blue wave forward too, because we'd be able to get a bit of a triangle pattern out of all of this, but I don't need to go there just yet. So because we got the high here, normally in the classic trading levels pattern, we would you know, we have the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, and then we have the correction, and then we start to look to go long again. So really, just for new folks, it's if that's the level here, the classic trading levels pattern is the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, some type of correction here, and then up here, and then we always have that as a trigger. Then we try and find a better trigger here, and we could also find a better trigger within here as well. There is also a variation on the classic trading levels pattern, which is the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, and then the ABC pattern sits on top here and then moves up through here. But either way, we could always get it from that point there. And the other point that we use when we're looking for one of these two patterns is the overshoot pattern as well. I won't go into that just yet, but the other point here too to understand is that you always need to ask the question of which price point are we working with, which price point is the market working with. And we can clearly see it's the 6,100 here, and it is that sort of diminishing triangle pattern going in here. But at the same time, we know that when we're working with a large number, then we need, this is a minor level. So in this particular case, we will drop down to the sub level. So the sub levels are, in this case, group 2 here, 65, 72 and 80. And they tend to support the market while the market's having a correction at this particular number here. We would need to see this group here as a retested resistance. We've had a spike down here, but we never came back and retested it and failed. And also the same to the upside. So we always know that if we're moving up through here, we would always look to be going long if we had a nice support on top of group 1, 10, 20 and 30, on top of number 3, because a tested support on top of number 3 tends to pull the orders up to the next important number, which is the midpoint here. So that shouldn't be there, that should be there. So the midpoint, so support on here, tested support on here folks start to consider the number 5 rather than the previous closest largest number. So number 3 is the dividing price point for that. Okay, so in a nutshell, we've got this top here to go long. We would have had this one here to go short, but we can bring that up into this space. We can bring this one down into this space. We could also bring it down into this space here as well. It's, you know, we're getting closer here, so there's going to be more risk here. So when there's more risk, you trade less here. It does appear that we're looking at a little bit of an impulse wave up here, but that doesn't get us out of the situation of being long or short. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, there may be even 5 finished in there already, or maybe not, but if we get, I can't draw on this side here, but if we get 1 and 2 and 3 here and 4 here, say, and then 5 up to the 20 here, then expect an A and a B and a C wave to come back here before moving off there again, okay? So maybe I can just draw it here. So we've got from this low here, I can see that we've got, well, look, let's just cut to the chase and just have a look at a 20 tick chart here. It's on 20 now, so yeah, so this is 1 and 2 here. This will be all the third wave up here. It may even be to the third wave here. So what we can look for here is we can look for, I'm going to take it to those tops there rather than the spike, the 38.2% retracement level, so or the fourth wave of 1 lesser degree. So we can expect it to come down into this space here, which it is now, obviously. So let's see the other point too, in case the fifth wave is, or maybe it's already in. Maybe we've got 1 and 2 here, and the third to here, the fourth to here, and the fifth to here. So in that case, either way, we don't want the market to go down past this 61.8% mark here, okay? Because then we're basically, oh, it's not, I think I did that wrong, sorry about that. That should bring us down even closer to the 61 here, yeah, sorry. Well, look, there we are here. So you just have to keep your stop under the 6.1 here at this stage here, and keep buying new highs. That's the best way to do this. I'm just going to take it down to 5 here, just to try and see if I can see that situation there. So we'll leave that as 1 and 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and back for 2. So 1, 2. No, I can't see that. I can see 5 waves here. Maybe that is the fourth and the fifth here. Anyway, the S&P 500, just as a sort of a bit of a guiding sort of guide stick here, it's possible that we can have wave E4 in here. We've also looked at this on our charts too as an A and a B and a C here, for a top in play here to come down from this point. But there's also this possibility here of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here. So long as this market stays above this particular 2650 here in this current little move here and pushes up here, then we'll have that 5 waves up there, which will give us wave 1, we'll come back for 2, and then we'll push up to that point. So that will just give you a little bit of an idea there as well. I also want to point out too, just to go for a walk around the block here a little bit, if I can just go to the weekly chart here. You know this already, but there was the S&P, basically the banks. I got the low here from the banks actually. So the banks pushed up from this point, US banks, and you know, Morgans and those and cities and so on. So there's a lot of trends that started on this 2016 low here. Not all markets did it, but of course the S&P did it, the DAX did it, and our resource sector did it as well. So this is just Rio here. So there's a 2016 low here. So yeah, so the BHP in here as well and so on. So that resource sector there. So these guys have pretty much got count as one another as such here. So we know that Rio, we know in this case here for the S&P 500, we know that what we're trying to sort out, this is a bit complicated. We're trying to sort out this wave 4 low here. We don't know if we're going to be moving straight up from here, or we have to come down here first and then up. This is what we're trying to sort out right now. But the main point is that we're still in wave 4 here for this trend that started roughly in this date over here. We have Rio here this does appear to look like 5 waves down here, but it can also be counted as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here for an A and a B and a C, and it's had this sort of pattern before here as well. So here we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and then as an A wave, and then a B wave here with 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here for the C. So I kind of thinking this 3rd and 4th here is the same as this 3rd and 4th here, but I can't sort of prove that. And Rio and BHP are a little bit tricky to count because they're always gapping so much. But we can see that this market here still needs to climb. So this market would still need to climb as well here. It's just that we're probably leading this to the upside here. So there's just sort of scope in there, but because this market's leading, we may just end up with a move above this high here. How far, I don't know, but that all it needs to do is make a new high here and then fold down at that point, and then we would need to move that into this space here. So I don't know if we need to move it here or have it like further up here for Rio. That's what I haven't figured out just yet. And the reason I'm mentioning this here is because I just want to talk about the banks for a second. I'll just focus on CBA. The other biggies are pretty much in the same sort of vein. And one of the things that I want to mention here is that this is obviously a different count from the ASX200 as such here, doing the opposite. And it's so in this case here we've got wave 4 here, and we can look at this as wave 1 and 2 and 3 here. This is a nice 3rd wave here, nice and long and strong. When we look at some of the other banks, this move down here for wave 4 has overlapped wave 1, so that really creates a problem for those other banks. But I'm going to stay with CBA because it's got 9% of the index here. So it's possible to have this count here. It's quite a nice looking Elliott count, and what I want to point out here is that I know it sounds a bit weird because these banks are going through the Royal Commission and so on, and yes, they can. This market can drop lower from here. I'm not, it certainly can do that, but at the same time, it's possible to have this in here as the A wave to here, the B wave to here, and the C wave right to this point here. Now, I know there's trouble with the C wave here because we'd have 1 and 2 and 3 here, which is fine, but wave 4 here overlaps wave 1 here, that low and that high here, so it makes it a bit thing. But apart from that, one point here, then it's quite possible that this can move straight up from here. So if these are going to move up from here, that's going to place a bit of pressure on the resource sector. And, the old saying goes is when there's blood on the street, that's the time to buy. Unfortunate saying, a bit like killing a bird with two birds with one stone. Not very nice, but as harsh as it may be. So it may be in a position that we're in here now. So I don't know yet, but this is a possible count here, and I want to share it with you, and we'll just look at it together. But mind you, it can certainly be wrong, and the banks can come down further and think. But at the same time, we don't want to have our head stuck in the sand. We always need to be looking at both sides of the market and looking for those trade setups and managing the risk. That's what it boils down to. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. But from wave 3 here, this is a very complicated count, but it can count as an A wave to here, then an A and a B, and an A and a B and a C here for the B wave, and then up for the C wave of the B here. It's kind of the best fit for all of this. I know that it could be counted differently as well, but I've gone over it and over it and over it. I know all the little moves within here. I know, like, this move here is up in 3 waves. This one's in 5 waves, but it doesn't make a new low here. But I still need to look at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a bit of an ending diagonal pattern, and I know that there's 5 waves in this structure, so I kind of know it a bit. But like I said, wave 4 here overlaps wave 1, so that's probably where it's going to be. That's the only error that I can see right now with this. But otherwise, I can look at this as wave 1 here, wave 2 here, wave 3 here, wave 4 here, and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 in here, and down for 5 here. And it doesn't even count very well here as well. But I do think that we've got 5 waves up here. Now, this market can also be an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave, and just drop from here. I understand that, and in fact, what we can do is we can have that sitting under here as well. But my point here at the moment is that if we make a new high here, then we really need to go with that here. Okay, so because we've got little 5 waves pushed up into here, we need to take that top there. It may not occur and it may not go very far, but it's there. It's a little bit like AMP actually. I'll just open up the trading levels charting program here and just have a little look at AMP. So I mean, it's in a bad way as well, obviously, but the thing here is that when you look at, just get it in the right picture here, so this is a daily chart. So this is wave 1 here and wave 2 here, and this is wave 3 here and wave 4 here, and we've got wave 5 coming down here. So we're going to be bouncing off the medium level here as such. So we've also got a little 5-wave structure here as well. And not to say that this is going to go very far as well. It can have an A and a B and a C and move up and still go down further as well here. But I just want to point out that there is 5 waves in this structure here. So we should be seeing some sort of counter trend within this space here. I'm probably not, I don't need, we don't need to go long in a market like this as such. I mean, people do, and the money's in the turn, and, there's so on and so on. But we're better off already being in a bullish market and looking at a pullback and doing sort of safer trades. But it does appear from here too that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and looking for an ABC in here. So we should get another move to the upside here in all of this as well, at least that. But we won't turn bearish in this until we see actually a larger 5 waves up here and then a 3 waves back. Then it makes it worthwhile for us in terms of risk reward ratio and so on. The other point that that I can make here, I'm not going to go into all the Asian indices, but this is China here. And with China here, as you know, I'd been looking for wave 3 and wave 4 and looking at an A wave, a B wave, and then 1 and 2, and then 5 waves in the 3rd wave here. Then I was looking for a 4th wave, which is pretty dodgy, dodgy in the way that you see how the size of it compared to the previous wave 4 here. So it's possible, but I was looking for a low, so possibly 4 and 5. And don't forget, wave 5 doesn't need to be very long because the extension's in wave 3 here. That means wave 1 here and wave 5 can be the same length. Now, it's also possible that I'm not ready to move on this, but it's also possible to have wave 4 here. So looking for 5 waves up here. Little 5. We only got 1 and 2 here. Will be 3 there and 4 and 5 to go. So it's possible to come up to here and then move down here as well. But it's also possible to move up here. It's also possible to move straight up here. So we'll be keeping an eye on this move here. So I know we're looking for 5 waves up here, but then the question is do we get 3 waves here, and then we get this. So if I can just move that segment out of the way, and we can look at it like this here. So we're not there yet, but I will drill into it when the time comes for this to get a better understanding of that thing. But just to point out that's possibly on its lows here as well. Okay, and it's okay to have the material sector. Because oil's sort of leading to the upside. Gold's got a little bit more to go before it's going to become a leader, and we can trade that to the upside. Yeah, so all right, I'll just leave it at that. So thanks for tuning in. Cheers.